Hello, hello. Okay, let's see here if I can get this. Boom. And hey, I am visible. I am incredibly yellow. Seems a little bit better. Let's do this. Oh, live stream on live stream. On live stream. On live stream. On live stream. So, step number one, because I learned this last time. Apparently, it's against terms of service to have chat this here is streaming both YouTube and Twitch chat updates. Apparently, that is a no-no, according to Twitch US. So we want to change this. And let's do this. Here. This you guys can see. We're gonna start with hiding that chat. And there we go. Feel like the taming of the beard turned out well. Good. Now, let's see. Did here? No. It says we're in unstable. Too high. Too high. Eh. See, that's good. This is not where you do this. This is not where you do this, I'm assuming. What I'm looking for is the where do I find the chat? I know that there should be somewhere where I can change the. Is it here? No. It is not. And I think like there should be somewhere I can edit. There should be somewhere I can edit the content on the stream. Boop-a-doo. It has to be in here somewhere. I feel like it should be in here at least. It'd be weird if it wasn't. Remember to check these out. They are down below in the stream. Let's see. I feel like I'm doing this so rarely that I continuously forget how to like change it. Notification? Yeah. Uh, feel like I've been gaslit by Twitch or something. Or is that just me? Like, where do I change the visuals? Where do I add the... Because I know that there is like a... Or is it one of these, maybe? Might be. Might be. Might be. Question is if it's the right one to use. Let's do this. so that I don't do this. Boop. Okay, okay. Now we're talking. Let's look at themes. Not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the chat and alert. Yeah, yep. I don't care so much about tippers as much as I care about this kind of stuff. Like the following kind of stuff. Alert. Question is which one? I want kind of nondescript for now. So that I can only go up from here, kind of. I love how they just went like tipping. I feel like this is the most hype type. Yeah. Nothing with chat widgets. I feel like this is something that should be available by default. All right. I think what I'll do for now is I'll do this, since only the Twitch chat can write in here anyway. Second up to what we will be doing. I do this. I will. No. We will go here. That way I have fast and easy access for when I need to ban bots and stuff. All right. Next thing we're looking at is mic settings. Because I feel like I am getting kind of... I almost need to like deep throat this, and I kind of want it over here instead, which means that I will likely have to chill a little bit with this. Boom. Let's go like that. I can't see any noise happening while I am doing this. Let's bring this up and just type a little. Nothing. That's good. With that, if I just speak, what is the sound like? It would be great to have someone in voice. I might need to do this. There. Need to turn off the freaking Bluetooth here. Come on, you are not helping. There. And now, if I speak, if I just sit here and I speak normally, be prepared, because now sound's gonna be go on. I'm just gonna change to this, and I'm just gonna speak, and it's gonna be on my media channel. So I'm gonna hear it. Question is, are you guys gonna hear it? You are not going to hear this. Okay, perfect. Then I'm the only one who has to stand this for now. Sound bop 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 bop. No. 95. Hello, 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 hello. And hello, hello. Can I get some sound in here? If I speak now, how does it sound? It's very low. Let's go all the way to 98%. And also let's check my digital sound card here. There we go. And let's see, which one am I using here? The microphone, not the line. Hello, 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 hello. Oh, there we go. How about, what if I do this? And can I Can I just go like this? At 99%, what does it sound like when I just speak normally? So far, I like it. I'm gonna see what happens if I increase voice clarity here. And I think this is it. This should work. So if I speak now, how does it sound? How, like, if I just speak, I've turned up the volume. How do I sound? There's a little bit of my lisp coming through. Lisp. I'll do the sound test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So I might do this. How does it sound now if I'm speaking? Hello, hello. And if I move it, let's say that I move it here. And I speak, hello, hello. It does seem to be a lot better. I'm just gonna do this. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. How are you doing? How are you doing? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That sounds pretty accurate to what I'm hearing. Like when I just hear my voice. Like, of course, I can hear a slight degradation in quality. But that is because ear versus microphone and then back through. Yep. So that makes sense. I feel like mic setup has now also been improved. That's good. That's good. And then let's do that. And let's move you guys. There. Just checking, double checking there. Hello, is chat working? It is. I'm just gonna perfect. And boop. We got it. Right now I think it's Restream that types, but if I type now, yep. Now it types just for Twitch. Good, 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 good. But I can, okay. Can I get rid of that background noise? Almost. There we go. Yep, gone. And there's barely a click in the background. Okay, okay. Now I can mute myself here. And I would say that is updated Twitch settings is now good. Goody, good, good. Let me just start this up here. Because I have a bunch of stuff that I need to change. There. Let's go in here first. For those who don't know, I play a metric crapload of TTRPG, like tabletop role-playing games. You know, like D&D and stuff like that. However, if we look at the rate to which I have played D&D compared to the rate at which I have played homebrew systems, as in not we take the D&D base system and then make something new for that system. We have made, like, from the ground up, from how we are using dice, like this stuff, to world building, to magic systems, to storylines, classes, races, gear, crafting, you name it, like from scratch. We build stuff up. And we've been doing this. So I think that the first game we made was around 2002, 2003. Around that time. I even think I know the month was, I think it was the February 2003. I think was the day, or like the and back then we were kids. Now I'm making a game called Sanctuary. And you can probably tell that this text has been rewritten by AI. I have written a base text for this, and then I asked them to format it, and they rewrote it. But in my opinion, it was rewritten in a good enough way that I am happy with it as an introductory text. And so there's some AI rewrites, but every single piece of content in the game is, or rule set, or everything, like, is at its core made by me. And then there is a set of stuff that has been changed, added, modified, tweaked, and everything to from the feedback of my brother and one of my best friends, specifically to because they've been test playing the game to figure out where it works and where it doesn't. So there's been some major changes in the game systems right now because of it. The biggest change, just straight off the bat, let's do this. So, if I have it here, should work, but it's out of screen, out of camera. One of the biggest changes we made, or that I made, has been combat. So normally, like if we're taking Dungeons and Dragons, let's start there. You take your D20. Let's show this. This is the D20. This one here. And based on your stats, you roll initiative. I just rolled a nat 20. Basically, that decides who goes first, and then down the line of like top roller down to worst roller in terms of final results. However, this creates a very circular and, in my opinion, boring combat system. And the game that I've made is incredibly combat oriented. So how do I fix this? How do I make combat one of the fun parts of the game, one of the focuses or foci of the game? The way that I've done this is, how do I put this? To change what combat means. I got inspiration from Grugi, my cousin, and like he works in game development, and he knows a lot of obscure like game design and game like mechanic stuff. He pointed me towards a game. I don't even remember. I'm gonna see if I can reference it because I feel like that is just the right thing to do. Here. I'm just scrolling through here. Sorry if I'm a little bit quiet. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna post this link in chat here. And this is called Panic at the Dojo. And the base premise of this game's combat mechanics is that you roll multiple dice that you are then allowed to do what you want with. Here's the thing though, it still has a circular turn system. And I did not want that. I want to get away from that. I want to, without going full Chaos Gremlin, anarchy, like whoever can speak, like yell the loudest at the table gets to go first. I want to make a mechanic that promotes heavy interaction and dynamics in the turn. So instead of having like a battle turn, you have a battle round where rather than turns, all actions taken by all participating parties happens during a battle round. Once every participant has dealt order of action rolls, OOA rolls, that ends the current battle round and it starts a new one with new order of action rolls. What does that mean? At the start of each battle round, every combatant rolls 3 order of action rolls using their tier's base dice, which in this game can be either a D10, a D30, almost. There's a tweak to that. I'll bring that up when it's relevant. But think D30 and D100. Those are the 3 different base dice used, plus a character's mind proficiency. We're gonna get to the proficiency part in a second. And then gear modifiers. And this is like, I think this should be, instead of gear modifiers, plus other modifiers. Because this can happen for more than gear. These 3 dice form an action pool. So you roll your d10s. I have 2 here. Normally I do, like, I have made or I'm working on a AI agent to help run sessions and manage stuff like dice rolls and combat encounters and stuff like that, so that I don't lose track of data about the game. And one of the things that that then happens is, let's say that you roll a 10, a 6, and an 8. That means that you have the highest roll being 10 based on the tier's die. Let's skip the others for now, but you have a 10, you have a 6, and you have an 8. And that means that the person or like participant in that combat encounter whose turn it currently is the one who has the highest roll, like order of action roll. So these rolls are hidden. The DM and the players hide them. However, they have to, everyone has to reveal the highest roll they have. This basically means that, or not everyone, basically, yeah, everyone has to reveal the highest roll. It's this part. Highest remaining roll on the field always acts next, but actions are never one-sided or safe. This is an important asterisk. So when you want to take an action of any kind, like these are your core actions that you can take. Then again, to go through here, attack or defend, like swing, strike, parry, block, fire, projectile, throw a weapon, evade, etc. This is a pretty like open interpretation to this. This is a pretty soft interpretation because there's a lot you can do here, including like utility-based stuff that doesn't necessarily count as a straight up like smacking someone in the face. Techniques. These are basically the game's spells. They are like the game itself is martial arts focused. Like it's a martial arts action RPG, pretty much. You channel cultivated mastery, and here's a reminder that tier 1 to 4 techniques must obey tags, which means that you can't necessarily use any technique anywhere. Like there's very important asterisks. There are limitations to tier 1 through 4, and there are tags that they have to obey as to when they are allowed to be used. You can disengage. All range is counted in steps, and you can take 1 step back, breaking away from melee range. If an opponent in melee range reveals a dice with a higher roll than the one paid to disengage, so let's count, we have a 10, we have a 6, we have an 8. If I say I want to disengage and I try to get away with using my 6, what will happen if the person or entity that is attacked revealed a 7 for their defense? What then happens is, or they can then reveal a die if they want to. Can reveal a die with a higher roll than the one paid to disengage. They can overtake, and that also comes with an opportunity attack. Overtake, we will like talk about a little bit later. They can move for every 3 points on the roll, travel 1 step across the field. 1 step is roughly 0.8 meters. Like, because some people want to know this stuff, I basically put this in here, but I count everything in steps. And you can activate effects. These are from everything from shadow arts. Shadow arts being more or less like utility or strategic, like tactical effects that you can put on gear, like your swords, your helmets, or armor, rings, amulets, whatever. Use a consumable. In this case, medicine balls, or there are like loot drops that you can get that have some kind of utility, or game-changing effects, or combat-changing effects, or unleash a legendary gear feature. So legendary gear has special built-in features that are equal to like unique abilities that are tied to that gear, and so that can also be used under this activate effects thing. Specifically, the reason why I'm separating activate effects or technique or disengage movement from just attack defend, or just like, why don't I have just a basic take action thing and then they can do whatever the fuck they want? They can do whatever the fuck they want, but these are being used later in techniques and in features and stuff like that to determine whether or not certain conditions are met for a technique to be used, or for certain extra effects to be taking effect. For example, you might have a technique that is a lounging thrust with a sword. Then there might be an additional line in the description of that technique that says that if this is used as a reaction to disengage, or an opportunity attack to disengage, it can be used as a reaction, and they can then and then all results have a +5 to the roll, something like that. Like, it's not going to be +5 because that doesn't scale well. Like, it's going to be useful for like 2 times, but then it's going to like, nah. It might instead be that the one defending against that reaction, the one who disengages, have a disadvantage 1, 2, or 3 on their like defense against that reaction. Stuff like that. It's involved, but it makes sense when you're doing, because it's sequential, right? You have to do this and then think about what's happening next and that happening next. It's not like it doesn't spread out unless that's how you specifically want to play it, and that's going to be your own funeral. Let's see. I feel like I'm looking a little bit zombie test. There we go. It's because the sun, like the light outside, is changing. Let's see. And then we have contest. Attacker spends versus defender reveals. If an attacker roll is greater than defender's, action happen as normal. For every +5 margin above the defender's dice roll, they get 1 extra action against that target. This means that if they spend a dice, let's say they spent their 10, the opponent rolled a 5. That means they now get to take 2 actions. So they might use one technique that only works in melee, or even better, they use a disengage. So they take 1 step back, so they are no longer in melee range, and then they can use a technique that only works as long as you are not in melee range. For example, during one, like using 1 dice. Otherwise, to achieve the same results, they would have to spend 2 dice. And then if defender's roll is greater than the attacker, the defender gains counter actions. Okay? These have to directly relate to the attacker in some way. As in, if they attack you, but your defense, the roll that you reveal to defend is high enough. Like they roll in with attacking with a 5, you defend with a 10. That means you would get an extra counter action, which means that when they're done with their attack, whatever it is, if they use a technique or if they just like swing at you or whatever they did, then you get to take 1 action as a counter action, regardless. That counter action, however, I'm not sure how I've done this. It might be something that I haven't implemented or something I just haven't thought about until now. But the counter action cannot use techniques. I should put that here. Using staff. Boom. There are also certain techniques that are have reaction tags that have the reaction counter action or counter attack tag, which means that once someone has finished an action, they can then counter, like use that technique as a reaction after that is resolved. For example, a retaliation type technique that has a how do I even put this? It's a reaction where they hit one of your allies, one of your party members is getting hit in the face. They take damage, and one of the conditions, like limitations for a technique is like You have to have a mace equipped. This is only usable if an ally was hurt in this battle round, and you have to be standing next to the ally and the attacker, as in you have to be in melee range. And then it has the tag reaction counterattack. This means that you are allowed to use that technique regardless of like order of action rolls or anything like that. You can just use that technique. That just happens. You still have to pay an order of action roll to be able to do that reaction, but you can completely, like, regardless of what the number is. You can take your lowest number here and just doesn't matter what it's set on the attacker's dice. However, during that, this still applies. So if you use a very, very low roll, they get this applied. So if they use a very high roll, you use a very low roll, they get counter actions on you. So suddenly you can have like a flurry of blows going back and forth within like just one exchange, like one dice being paid. You're just doing a counter action. They used one of theirs, they attacked, they hit your ally, you are using one of yours, and they reveal a very high roll, so they get counter actions against you. They use that to attack you back when you counter, like they countered your counter, and then you have to like defend. But if you then reveal a roll that is like really, really, really high, then boom, you are golden. You can just attack back again, like as your defense. So it might literally be that you both get like 4 or 5 attacks against each other before that's resolved. That's like a flurry of blows happening back and forth within one battle round. So things are happening very, very quickly and can become very, very intense very quickly. And now this is all taking into account that there's 2 people fighting each other, or 2 entities fighting each other. However, what do you do when you have teams, when you have big parties and big encounters? Overtake and sync. Combat has no rigid turn order, initiative is always up for grabs. This is an important note to keep in mind. I'm basically just repeating stuff. It might sound redundant, but it's literally just to make sure that it is always available, or always at the forefront. Like, I don't want people to sit there and play and then go, I didn't know I could do that. I didn't know. Like, all of these rules, all of the stuff is publicly available to all the players at any given time, in and out of any like any round or any session we're doing. Like, people can sit and read this on the way to work or whatever. Let's see. I just saw a ping here in Discord, so I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. No, it looks good. It looks good. Yeah. So, overtake was mentioned above. There. Overtake. Overtake means that you or whoever do the overtake takes the ability to take an action. They are the acting entity on the board. if they manage an overtake. When you spend a roll higher than the acting combatant to seize the turn and target them. Can also be done to counter disengage. So let's say that I used 9 to attack, but there's a Reaver that rolled a 10. They roll a 10, they paid the 10 to do an overtake. That means that as I move to do my thing, before that happens, they overtake. And it's now their turn, and I'm now the back foot and I have to defend. The dice that I paid is now my defensive dice. I'm no longer paying it. I am now revealing it, and it's a... I need to write this here as well, actually. Now, no longer the revealed dice as the defender. As pet defender, as the defender. There we go. Oh, someone wrote. Got a sec. Perfect. There we go. Just gotta take care of like chatting in Discord too. There we go. Overtake no longer pay their dice, instead it is the revealed dice. And they are the defender. Here's the thing. Just being able to do overtakes means overtakes are like incredibly powerful. To counter overtakes, I put in sinks. An ally might spend a roll higher than the overtake to reinforce the original actor, canceling the interruption and gaining 1 bonus counteraction, which means that like first person is here, second person is here, they start acting, they do an overtake. But before then, there is another person with an even higher roll that does a sync. What then happens is they move in between, so that when the first is moving in here, it will then get blocked by the third party. So that then the counteraction happens, that one counteraction happens, and then what happens is the turn goes back to the original actor, and they can continue, right? Once the counter action is resolved, the turn goes back to the original actor. There we go. So basically, overtake tries to stop the one currently acting. Syncs stops the overtake. So basically, there's now an economy with the dice, with the order of action dice, where it's like, if you have no dice, if you've paid everything to, like, you use all 3 of your dice to chain 3 techniques to create like a really, really good synergy. But you underestimated the damage reduction from the target. So they survive. You now have 0 dice to do any overtakes, and you can't defend yourself. You are so out of balance that if anyone attacks you and you have no dice, they get free hits on you. Which is something I should probably put up here. And I'm gonna put a warning. No, that's the wrong. Let's do. It doesn't like that. Okay. They have no dice. Cannot act at all. Let's just change that back. Whoop. Then do selves. In which case, other people's like reactions and stuff become really, really, really important. Overtakes and syncs and stuff like that, meant to defend. There are going to be shadow arts, for example, that can transfer a dice from one character to the other, medicine balls, legendary gear features. There's going to be a lot of ways in which you can manipulate the battlefield with regards to the order of action dice and this combat system. Let's see. Hello, Saint Just. Welcome to chat. How are you doing? Tier 1 to 4 techniques, no reaction tag, then a character cannot use it in overtake or contest. Are you a avid tabletop role-playing game player, or just finding something to chat while you're doing work, or how are things going for you? They don't ignore initiative, they can reshape the entire battle. Let's change this, it's too much D&D language here, ignore. One high tier technique can reorder rolls, manipulate tempo, just prepare to argue for why it should work. Yes. Not really. I played the video game Disco Elysium, which was meant to be a tabletop game before turning into a video game. Oh, okay, that's cool. Disco Elysium, I've heard that somewhere. I'm gonna do a quick Google. Images. Ah, yeah. I think I've seen some images from this. Yeah. I think I've seen someone play it. I haven't played it myself. But yeah. You haven't played any like, what's it called? Baldur's Gate 3 or anything like that? Ah, okay, okay. What is your game of choice or hobby of choice? Yeah. I added hordes for two reasons. Number one, like the biggest reason, is I don't want to have to manage massive encounter cheats. I've been in the kitchen for 5 minutes. No problem. I will just continue yapping by myself. So to make this easy to understand, right, is an encounter in Sanctuary more often than not means that the players and the defenders of Sanctuary, the city, are outnumbered, massively so. And to, like, partly to be able to manage that aspect of the game without having to have an encounter sheet with like 500 lines on it, I am adding this, the horde system. So if 3 or more reavers are of the same type, are ganging up, they can form a horde. This has to be before combat starts. They can't like dynamically in the combat do this. Like if they are a group roaming and like attacking, then at combat start they will be forming a horde, and that will remain until it is broken. So horde rolls as one combatant, and they have 5 dice in their order of action rather than 3, which means that they can take more actions and chain techniques and stuff more because there's more of them. The horde gains a +5 bonus to any and all rolls per reaver in the horde. So a horde with 3 reavers have a 15% bonus. A horde with 10 reavers has a 50% bonus. The bonus persists until the horde drops to 2 members, at which point the horde breaks and survivors scatter in chaos. And what that means is that you don't have any way of diminishing the bonus that they get. Say they started at 10, but you've killed enough reavers that they're now down to 5. They still get the full 50% bonus until the horde is broken. So it counts from the bonus gained when the horde was formed. There are techniques, shadow arts, and other effects that can, should be an A, affect horde's composition and rules. This includes some reavers having abilities that affect how a horde functions. The detriment of Warforged. There we go. And then and this was something that my brother pointed out when we were talking about the horde, and like he had strong feelings against the original iteration of it. And specifically that had to do with in-game tactics, like where do I place myself in this combat. Hello, welcome back. So when a horde is formed, their energies can overwhelm Warforged. If more than 3 Reavers from a horde can attack a Warforged, can attack a Warforged at the same time, as in that horde, you're just standing on an open field, they attack you, and more than 3 of them physically can reach you with an attack of some kind. This includes ranged. So if you're facing a ranged horde, like with a bunch of ranged attacks, and 3 of them or more can attack you, overwhelming numbers apply. Apply disadvantage 1 to the Warforged, and then for every additional Reaver, so if there are 4 or 5, you get disadvantage 2 and then disadvantage 3. So that's a 10% debuff, 17.5% debuff, 25% debuff. So you could lose 25% of your roll just by not standing in a narrow space blocking access to you. It is important for Warforged to control the battlefield through using the environment and techniques to avoid this. You use Notion AI. I tried it once, but I don't have any good use case, I think. I have tried it just to see what it can do, but I am not happy with the results. As an example, let's head here to techniques. Techniques are the spells in the game. So there's a lot of them, which is why I'm using this as an example. So Notion AI means that if we look, there's plenty to draw from. Like Notion AI specifically looks at the page that is open when it generates something. So there's plenty of techniques in the body proficiency, like tier 1 body proficiency here, to take from. So if I go and do let's see, if I remember correctly, press space and new that follows the same rules and here. Create one new technique. There. And most of the time I use like ChatGPT for simplicity, but most of the time I use Clara AI or Claraverse. I can show you. So this works. Let's see here. Tier 1, base cost 1. This actually works. I will keep this but I am marking it because I need to check if it has, like if this is just a copy paste from other techniques and stuff before. Clara is a how do I put this? It is a more of a ecosystem than a specific AI. So the point here with Clara is that I should, like, I have my chat here. I can do this and I can say like, hello, how are you feeling today? I'm just gonna change to a different model that is better at conversation. You are having fun, aren't you? I'm gonna stop you right there. Interesting as to why that didn't work. Okay. That has more to do with the model than anything else. Analyze documents is one thing, yeah. The main thing here when it comes to documents is this. So I need to start this to be able to run this. It might affect the stream a little bit, just keep that in mind. So let's just have you guys up and running. Can you running here? So the way that this works, I can take I can choose here what I want to use. I'm just going to use the basics here, and I can change what it does. But this is using light rag, if you know what that is. Light rag is graph nodes or graph rag, basically creating a neural node network for thinking. So I can take this text and just called intro. Boop. And then it will process this if it works. I'm on a beta version. I want to be clear. I'm on a beta version, so I'm not necessarily on a stable one. But should be somewhat fast. The main difference between normal rag and this is way slower, but once it's done, it is incredibly powerful. because you get a context-based like connective tissue between the nodes in your like graph that makes it a lot easier to search through and like keep relevant context or build context with more relevancy, meaning that you normally require less less tokens to do RAG, like use RAG. Notebook LM. Which one is that? Like, what's the basis? Is it like its own thing entirely, or is it like an offshoot of like llama.cpp or something like that? So I can actually go here and I can look at the logs. If we look here, this is it's saving a new node. Like it's saving some context as it's processing this. So it's done with the first part. Now it's going through chunk 2. So it's quite simple. Once it's done, it's really, really good if you want to have a AI like specialty trained for like RAG application for like searching through documents and stuff like that. So updating, it now has 3 new nodes. So it has, yeah. It's by Google, not Gemini 3, but another use case. You can upload whole textbooks, newspapers, YouTube channels, websites, audios, whatever, and turn it into mind maps, quizzes, audio, video review, slide decks, infographics, etc. Yeah, you can do that with this as well. Like, one of the main reasons why I enjoy this is all of it's local and I can control it. I don't have to pay anything. It's completely free. It's basically limited by my hardware. I don't know if I put that in the channel description, but I have a 3060 and a Ryzen 7 5800X and 32 gigabytes of RAM. So I can load models that are like my maxed out are like 14B models that are quantized to like 4Q pretty much. Notebook LM uses nanobanana for images, so you can create great slide decks. I can show you if you want to see. It's okay. Actually, this is a really, really fun bit here. Okay, it's done. So if I go in here now, I actually have the specific nodes, sanctuaries, the organization that oversees the 5 great families. This here is not necessarily like correct. And one of the main reasons is that it doesn't have enough context to here. It finds this, but it doesn't have enough context to understand that it is a game. Obsidian is more like Notion, I would say, than this. This is custom made by the guy who's created this whole thing. But yeah, I can see all of the context and all the relations and everything and how they are like connected with each other. So the hub, as far as it's concerned, is Sanctuary. So the Reavers are supernatural entities in the post-apocalyptic setting that feed only on darkness. They are associated with fear, madness, and destruction, and are driven by an insatiable hunger for life. That's correct. So then I can literally just ask what I want here about it. And the reason why this is made the way it is so that it can be compliant with privacy laws and stuff like that. And I can then also use, like, create an agent. I'm showing this as someone who normally, like, I am not a software person generally. But I can take this there, hybrid, there, and go and connect up and create anything that I input here and send. This might be wrong actually. But that like I said, I don't know too much about software and stuff. I normally have to spend days and days and days just to have basic stuff done because I'm bad at it. So it can't. There we go. And can do this technically. I think. What's your favorite tabletop? My favorite tabletop is a game that is not available for the public. It's custom made by my brother, and I've played that. So I have a character that has been going for what is it? Started playing it around 2012. So I've played it. That's 13 years with that character. A single character, a single campaign. Because we don't do so much like the campaign thing. So it had an output, I just couldn't see it. So let's test again, querying the notebook. What are reavers? And then I should be getting a output. So 13 years. I think, like, we don't so much play, a campaign where it's like, okay, we all start in a tavern and we like adventure through and we have this one storyline. We play, first of all, like everything is character based. So if I make a character, I have a storyline. That's my main story. That's my campaign, and that is that character's life. So we spend a lot of time before any kind of gameplay learning or like planning the world as a setting, so we can just throw a character in there and they can experience life and you can experience it with them as the player. Grief of supernatural entities in the post-apocalyptic setting that feed only on darkness. They are associated with fear, madness, and destruction, and are driven by an insatiable hunger for life. That is exactly what's in the notebook. So you can set this up together with other automations, right? Where I could set this up so that I have all of my different reavers. I can have all of my different reavers. There's a few. So Rabbit Chargers, Horde Grunts, Horgon Flingers, Hollow Howler, Dust Moth, Mire Skipper, Ember Spine. I can take all of these stat tables. I can turn these into documents, feed them into Clara's like RAG system, and then I can tell it to output a PDF that is an encounter sheet for me. For example, by literally just clicking test flow. I can just change this to what I need it to be. So that's something that is really, really powerful, because you can then like Comfy UI image generator. So you can then, I could do this with that theory, right? Take Comfy UI and hook that up and make it so that when it's pulled and it's created an encounter sheet, it also generates an image of that encounter, as in all of the reavers, which is possible because, let me see, Notion, all of them already have base images made for them. These are more or less like placeholders right now, generated by AI as a general concept for specific what's it called? Reavers. So yeah, I have had a lot of fun setting all of this up. These are just tier 1s, by the way. The game has, like, everything is divided by like power tiers based on the in-game power system of the here. Your tier is your military rank, your social status, and your measured power all in one. Advancement is not given, it's earned through merit, growth, and cultivation. It's a martial arts role-playing game, this one. City has no hard line between commoners and aristocracy. Only those who have cultivated themselves to greatness are respected, even if you came from nothing. And then you have like cultivation points, cultivation point costs for increasing your proficiencies and stuff like that. But yeah, tiers. So this is basically tier 0, like you don't have anything, you're weak as shit, like all that kind of stuff. And tier 1, once you reach tier 20 in any proficiency, that means that all the tier 1 reavers are scaled so that you could fight them and have a challenging time anywhere between tier 1, and by the time you reach tier 2, most of, if not all of the tier 1 reavers should be feeling, you should feel somewhat comfortable like being able to fight them. And then in tier 2, there's a new set. We're scaling things up, we're making things more difficult, they're becoming more complex and stuff, going all the way down to tier 10. So plenty of fun stuff to do. And all of the reavers I could technically turn into like documents, like a separate document per reaver, and then just feed them to the RAG system in Clara. and then have a agent made that uses the RAG system, and I can use any of my models to feed that RAG system. I could go here, because this is a really, really small one, right? Oh, wrong RAG. There we go. If I go here, I could change this. Let's see. I do not think. Yeah, here. So I could change this from this tiny 4B model to a 14B model and get way better quality responses. And it's going to take a lot more time. It's going to be slower, but I'm going to get high quality responses. If I don't like the embed, so I might reprocess the documents, but I might then instead use a Qwen3, because that matches with the Qwen3. So they are better matched with each other for embedding. Then I can just save changes. And then it will just reprocess the documents and create a new connection timeout. Model store for not responding. Future document process. Continue my. No, let's cancel that. There might be something off with. There might literally just not be enough performance overhead with me streaming at the same time. But generally, I can use AI to help run my sessions. More than that, because I can use AI for certain like math and tracking numbers, I can create more complex systems to use in my sessions without giving myself more work during those sessions. Actually, the opposite. I can make it easier for me to run sessions and focus on being a good game master, and instead focus on the role play and focus on the encounter and focus on the storytelling and all that kind of stuff, and leave a lot of the numbers admin and stuff to the AI. One of the things that I have done is, if I just do this, give me a new chat agent, and use dice tool to roll 14d10, 10d69, nice, and 20d100. Now it's just going to do my thing here with the tool execution, because I've made a tool, like a dice roller tool, so it doesn't guess. Normally AI just goes like with a narrative guess on which number should show up. If I say roll a d6, so now it's just going through. It's showing me basically all of the stuff. I can tell it by because I'm in agent mode, it is basically good images is like it entirely depends, because it does have, it's still working in the background right now, by the way, on the response. I'm gonna get like a do in my headphones when it's like good here. Like I can get a model. I have no idea why that showed up, but okay. I can grab a model, and then I can use Comfy UI. We're looking at essentially stable diffusion, like Comfy UI is integrated into this. So as long as you have like it's a model that works with Comfy UI, it works here. Like you can use it here, and you can connect this with your normal chat, with agents. You can connect it in your like AI-driven app builder. But yeah, that tends to use a lot of power. But you can technically tell an AI to build an app for you, interconnecting this. You can use AI for all of this, including the built-in Nathan, like N8N stuff, and all of this is interconnected within the same one solution. That's why Clara for me, because like I have what you said before, the notebook LM, like you have a lot of that from just the RAG. You have Comfy UI here for what's it called, image generation, and you can go and pick anything you want in terms of models. I don't know if they have Nano Banana, but if I just focus on that, yeah, okay, it's available. So you can get the Nano Banana. You have a lot of options as exactly how you want to edit this, to the point where, if I remember correctly, yeah, like something to keep in mind is just because people are impressed doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Like it's easy to, like, if I haven't played around with it, so I don't know. I'm not taking a stance in any direction. I just want to make that clear. Like I'm a neutral party. I'm Switzerland in this. What I've noticed, because I'm on a lot of subreddits, like I am on the Llama subreddits, I am on the like Gemini subreddits, I'm on the Quen subreddits, I'm on all of them, and I read like, and every single day I see a bunch of people being impressed and claiming that their choice of AI is the best for whatever reason. Ultimately, it's not like you don't need to look at what is the best. It is, are you getting the output that you want? And is it actually more efficient than you doing things manually? That's the whole thing, right? And the thing is, if you're using Notebook LM and you get the quality that you want, no reason to change. Just keep doing that. It's more that if you're, I don't know how it works. So like if you're paying a subscription fee for Notebook LM, and the reason why you're paying that is like one, simplicity. Like you don't have to do all the setup. You don't have to do, like, you can just go in and it works. I think that because Clara is just a framework, if you know how to do your setup, you can get the complete functionality of Notebook LM in Clara, along with everything else. Like, it's a framework. So if you look here in the system, in the services, if I go to the Python backend here, I can change this. RAG, text to speech, speech to text, and document processing services. I can change that. Right now it's running in the default Docker image setup that comes with the install, at least on Windows. It's a bit hinky on Linux. There is some manual stuff needed in some places, not everywhere, but in some places. But if I have my own service that I've set up, that I've made, with that backend that I want, I can change that with my own. Like right now, it is using localhost 5001. That, like, this is the what it's running on. But I can change that and have my own entirely custom setup and plug this in instead. Same thing with Nathan, and same thing with Comfy UI image generation. So if you have a service provider URL from, for example, Nano Banana from Google, you can put that into this, like, manual, and then when you go here to image generation, that's what's going to show up for you. That's what's going to be your model here. That's what you will be able to, like, do. So it's entirely it's kind of like having a like a moving box, and in that moving box is a set of books and tools, and you can freely change those. Clara is just a moving box. You can change whatever you want in it. That's it. I'm just happy with Clara because of how changing things in that moving box and editing things and customizing things has worked really well for me. I've gotten the good results that I want. So that's about it. Let me just double check here. Yep. So it all comes down to what you want to use it for. I'm gonna shut this down for now so that I save some performance overhead on my computer. Let's see, words, tempo. Yeah, mean range and opportunity attacks. Yeah, like I'm just having fun with the role-playing game right now, and figuring stuff out for that and having fun with it. Because a lot of the stuff that I want to do for the role-playing game is very much a quantity question. It's, can I create, like, if I remember correctly, everything is tied to techniques in the game. Your characters, utility, and specializations, and like all that kind of stuff. It comes down to two systems: proficiencies, which is how a character interacts with the world, it's these. And they tie into higher specialization and more like effort stuff, which is techniques. And I've just done a massive, massive overhaul of the combat system and all of its rules and interactions and everything. And I now need to go through and make sure that every single technique is updated. But on top of that, I need more techniques. Because you see, for the earlier tiers, tier 1, 2, and 3, it's like you have these limitations here. Must use a dagger weapon type. You can't use this technique. A quick step technique that closes the distance with the target and strikes quickly with the intent of using the element of surprise to both start and end a fight very quickly. It also allows a level of mobility control on the battlefield. Good for combination attacks using other dagger strike techniques. So really, really good. Makes you move around on the battlefield. Does a little bit of damage. But it requires you to use the dagger type. So all tier 1, 2, and 3 techniques have this specific limitation, or like a similar. It can also be you works only using a shield. Requires a one-handed mace or hammer. Requires a staff or spear weapon. So there is a lot of like I have to essentially make sure that there's enough techniques tied to all the proficiencies that there's a large amount of variety for people to play around with, especially for their first technique. Like when they make the character, they get to pick a technique to start with. Which technique? Up to them. But if there's not enough to pick from for all the weapon types, it kind of sucks. So basically, my goal is to make sure that there's at least one or two, preferably like 5 or 6 techniques per weapon type available in every single or every one of the basic or primary proficiencies. So there's 7 of them. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 different weapon types and armor types, where we have another 4 that also need specific techniques. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 19. 19 different proficiencies. And let's say that 19 times 7. Just there is 133 techniques. So make 1 technique for every proficiency. That's 133 techniques. And I want something along the lines of 5 or 6. So go times 5. This is how many techniques I need in tier 1. There's 10 tiers. And this is just a start. I also need more techniques within each as time goes on. But as a baseline, I need this. a lot. So before I go nuts with that, I basically want to make sure that all of the current techniques are already updated. So I have already updated body, aside from this last bit. I'm gonna rename them later. I'm not happy with the names for a lot of the techniques. How is this a utility? Why did you add the utility tag? Must be used with on graph and blah blah blah. I'm gonna remove that. Because this is there to create that. But there is no utility to this. There we go. And then for mind, I also think this is updated already. It is. All right. Just give me a second. I am going to go get a pen. I had a pen here apparently. It was just under my PC. Sticky notes. Why do I have these? Well, I need to be able to check these things. For AI stuff or for Ttrpg? Ttrpgs. I'm assuming AI stuff. Tech stuff. Let me pull up my Reddit. I have a list here. I'm just going to type it out. These are all, like, assume the r slash. That's one. I'm assuming you already have the uh, I think those are the main ones that I'm in. But as I scroll through, I click around and I find other stuff. I'm just seeing if I have anything immediately in my feed here. Not right now, it seems like. Those are the main ones that I am actually following. Since I don't like, I also follow like OpenAI and like Gemini and like all of, like you said, like the obvious ones. I'm already in those. Those are the other ones that I'm also in. I'm also in, of course, Clara, like Claraverse, r/Claraverse, like this. This. So must be using melee range, and then there should be a third limit here. And not used as the first user's first action. Battleground. I'm Swedish, yes. You're from Sweden. Does Sweden have any popular AI startups? I'm from Germany and we only have Black Forest, I think. I think that Malmö is basically counted as one of the startup capitals of Europe. Lund is not far behind. There's a metric crapload of stuff in Ideon Science Park. There is a metric crapload of startups going on. I don't know if any one of them is like standing out that much. Like not on a well-known global, like everyone knows about this. This is common knowledge. This is a household name at this point. Like there's not anything like that. But I have done some work with a startup called Vati of Sweden that helps, like their entire thing is educating and qualifying personnel in sustainability practices according to the European standardization ISO 27000. Where it's basically a company has to have at least have a plan for achieving sustainable practices across the board. And sustainable practice doesn't just mean environmental. We're talking about work environment and like employee retention. We're talking about and everything that has to do with like resources. How to keep that sustainable for the company as well as for the environment and the overall economy and market. So it's a big project. They work a lot. They have a crap load of stuff to do, but they are also like kind of niche. I do have some contacts with and play some games with people from Paradox Interactive, the game developers. So it might pop on some of those people in stream later, but we'll see. not just attacks. Effect. Next action instead react when an ally is attacked and fails to defend. The user then projects their shield as an extra defensive layer for the ally, which counts for any of the ally's damage reduction. Leave for a while, may return later. Yeah. Good luck with whatever endeavors you are going for. There. That's a normal reaction. Not a plus 30%, it's a plus 15% to stealth rolls. We need a limitation here. What's a good limitation? Cannot be used. User has used an AOE during this battle round. So as long as someone else is using an AOE technique, they can go into stealth. But if they themselves do it, because all the attention is on them, they can't. They have to use someone else's. Listening stalks through silence and unseen threads. When attention is drawn elsewhere, a single flicker of focus will pierce its barrier of awareness. Less a strike than a moment slip past the guard when used. Make a stealth check. Those the user is hiding from roll their detection check with advantage 1. Only usable with bow type weapon, can only target unaware enemies, must be used after someone else's action during the battle round. So the user has to be in stealth. It doesn't put them in stealth. This is a buff to the attack. Or damage bypasses. Okay. Then just go there. Duh. It's not a buff, it's just an attack. Predictive step slash. Transform attack and damage rolls into mind. Can you be able can be used both as an attack in the user's action as a reaction to an enemy's movement during their action. One or so only usable when not in range, can only be used when the user has equal or more mind than the target. Yes. Transform defensive rolls into mind. The user subtly shifts their guard mid-block. When the attacker's balance in their mind energies, causing the attacker to have trouble doing anything offensive. Okay, so too powerful. Must be used with one-handed sword, can only be used with has to be used against a melee attack. Yep. This is aggression, waits for commitment, and punishes the lasting caution with sweeping below the moment overextension occurs. So the second, if they use a technique or ability to defend, they are getting a debuff, or they're getting a penalty to their defense. Can use it to use it defended against their target during the last battle round, must have cloth armor equipped. Capitalize those because that's a specific thing. From defense into mind, the guard energy pattern disrupts any reactions, creating a moment where the user is simply not there. You know, so this also prevents allies from using reactions that would help the user. Okay, so it basically stops actions. Cannot be used if weakness or disadvantage is applied to attack. Must use a two-handed sword. Let's fix this. It has this line. Cannot be used. This does not make sense to defense. And finally, weakness or disadvantage applied to defense. And we need a third. We need a third. Third limit. Not be used to defend overtakes. There. Transforms attack and damage into mind. The technique targets mind energy clusters, momentarily scrambling motor function with a subtle jolt of energy built into the strike. This attack. This is a debuff because it has a duration. Inflicts 2 stun duration. And it has to be a pressure. There. All right. Move you to the correct. Should be the first thing you see. User. There. Cannot be used if user moved before during this battle round. Must be used in melee range. Melee. Melee. By striking with energy that things attack is hard to read and block, and when it hits, the things energy is focused on the impact point, increasing damage. So it's attack, +2 damage, +2 attack rolls. Usually cost more. Requires 100 max ammo, must have a higher mind than the target. Target must have more than 50% of their max health left. All right. Transforms defense into mind. Block impacts the mind energies, causing a lag in the ability for the attacker to move. On a successful block, the attacker needs to pass a mind check to avoid getting stunned. There. Because there needs to be a duration for that. There. We need one more limit. Must be used on a melee attack and limit. Bleh. 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 Brain go bleh. And there. Let's do that. Instincts of a Guardian, convert defense and damage reduction into mind. If the used or adjacent ally failed a defense roll, this technique can be used, adding additional damage reduction with a nasty blowback on the attacker if they deal no damage. In between and take the hit of the intended target. This adds additional damage reduction with a nasty blowback on the attacker if they deal no. Alright. This needs to be the first thing they do, is get in between. Then they can act for the rest of the battle round. But if they have acted, this technique is out of the question. Echo frame redirect. The user slips their stance between decision and movement, and anticipatory redirection that targets the moment before force is applied. Echo frame redirect analyzes combat patterns and insert disruptive energies. When the interference destabilizes opponent enough to break intent, the technique converts mental edge into sudden displacement. That makes no fucking sense, and I love it. Target within +4 steps attempts an attack or technique, reduce the final roll result by -4 per level. That is too much. There. Edge of Insight. Okay, so you can become really freaking good at fighting one specific enemy. Transforms defense into mind, the pain echoes back into clarity, use Titan's reflexes. sensor goes back into clarity. The user tightens reflexes into working with right calculating instead of flinching. So it's defense. Requires the users to have been hit during the previous battle round. Requires medium armor. There. Can only be used against melee. Right there. That means mind techniques are now updated. Time for soul. Defocus, channeling soul into the attack, transforms it from body into soul. You need to do more. This focus channels the strike to hit past any non-body defensive techniques. So if it's body, nah, fuck off, mate. Body functions as normal, but anything else that would reduce damage is ignored by this. And with that said, I think this should be a 15 instead, because that's hella powerful. Like, it has to be a punch. You can't kick them, and it can't be grappling or anything like that. All right. They have to be like pure monk. Unarmed and cloth armor. This to be moved. +1 action per level. Base duration is 2 actions. So level 1, you have 3 actions, and then it fizzles out. And there. So this has friendly fire on. How have I changed this for the others? Unity is strong. So transforms the attack into soul. Actually, let's go for 18 there. Delay firing by one action as the user focuses their soul energy into a very powerful shell exposed on impact, inflicting 50% of the original impact damage to every enemy in range. So need 2 more limits on this. I'm thinking as in if they hold a shield, or if there's any kind of shield around them, this is automatically unviable. Like it. Okay. So it's not meant as a shield breaker. It is meant as a killing shot. The remainder of this battle round. Patience becomes violence, transform the attacking soul. Instead of attacking, the user prepares a reaction to the actions of an opponent that is within melee range of the attack, and the user manages to evade. This triggers. If the target tries to move outside of range, this triggers when the user unleashes a horizontal swing. Horizontal swing, which sends a cleaving wave of energy that can strike everything in the technique's range if it is not blocked somehow. Each enemy hit reduces the damage by an additive 10% until it goes under 10% of the original damage. Also, the user's evasion roll has a disadvantage 1. To prepare a reaction to the actions of an opponent that is within immediate range. Yep. So that means that it's going to be like 100%, 90%, 80%, 70, 60, whatever. Until it goes under 10%, which means that on the 10th it stops. Unless damage reduction. Damage reduction can also mess it up. So if it does 100 damage, hits the first, and that enemy has 50 damage reduction, it means that there's 50 left. But then it's on the next one, it only does 40 damage because 10% of the original damage is removed. Then it continues and it stops on the, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemies instead. So damage reduction, dangerous thing. But we do this. It's gonna do a lot of damage. When this hits without any rolls at level 5, this does 50 damage without any dice or proficiencies or anything involved. There's no weapons added, like implicits added. There is nothing else added. 50 damage at level 5. At level 10, this does 150 damage plus the rolls. Big damage. But it also means that you have to roll evasion with disadvantage 1, which means 10% loss to your roll. That can hurt you. That can hurt you a lot. And I can also do this. So once this is set up, the user cannot, like, they can stand there and they can be like waiting, and then when something attacks, they can't use a defensive technique to dodge, and then they have to evade using pure roll and like whatever extra stuff they have from like gear and medicine balls and stuff. Which means big risk, big damage. And then if user is moved, takes any damage This is cancelled. There. At which point they have paid a lot of energy and got nothing. Okay. I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Boom. I'm back. Let's see here. What I'm thinking, we just continue going through, making sure that they all have 3 limitations and stuff. Slamming your hands together, use a sense of clear. What do you mean 1 action of duration? Okay. With the buff. Buff all allies. Plus 8 base damage per level. To actions. there. Dual wheeling. It has to be hammers. Even if it's a mace slash hammer, it has to be in a hammer shape. It's base 1, meaning it then lasts for 2 at level 1. And then there. Arrogance with a selfless ego, transform on technique rolls during the technique's duration into soul, raising the weapon above their head, sending a pulse of aggressive soul energy out. All enemies who fail a soul roll are forced to try and reach and attack the user. During the buff duration of this technique, if the user is attacked by 4 or more enemies in one round, they gain 1 extra order of action dice next battle round. They gain a plus 5% to all rolls per level. All first get to attack user for they to take action. Meaning that, like, if I do this, and they come for me, and there's like 5 of them, I have to defend against those 5, and then I get to do my order of action. Basically, those 5, like, if it becomes my time to attack, it's my turn, and any of my attackers have any dice left, they attack first. And they pay a dice, and I have to defend against all of it. Then I get to take my turn. There. So it's basically big buff, big strong, big good, can hit easier, defend easier, do more damage, more powerful techniques. Everything is buffed for the character that uses this. However, they have to be the one that takes all the hits as well. So it's a great taunt technique. If you have a really good defense, great. If you are fighting enemies that are anywhere near the limits of your defense, even with this buff, you might want to rethink using it. It's a great way to counter hordes though. If you also have area of effect attacks. And you can't cancel it, so it's fucking commit. Go for it, mate. User can only have one. Oh, mute. So you can't use metal transmute spear, sword, or like spear and shield. You can't go like this at the same time. There have to be like different, like, so if you have like metal transmute and fire transmute, and then you use fire transmute to create a spear from this fire, and then you use shield style, you can then transmute a shield, but they have to be different. Echo, pulse, meditation. No, wait, we need a third limit here. Hmm. I need a third limit. All right. So you can't just take an enemy's shield. They have to agree to it. Then basically you send them a request. They can say yes or no. And okay, so basically, if something happens where you need to do a soul check, you can use this to buff your soul. And if you succeed, you can restore some energy. I do want to change this though. Costs 200A to use. Because it's not meant to be used in combat. It's meant to be used out of combat, which means that this limit as well. Used user has full as oh no wait and this basically says that if you want to be a kick-ass like user of soul, the soul proficiency for soul checks, you cannot build up your ability to regenerate energy. Your sustain with energy has to be shit. Because you have to rely on having to react and get your energy back this way. Which is an interesting dynamic. Good trade-off. Win all the soul rolls, but energy sustain. Only usable one-handed sword. It's below 50% health. Target cannot be cloth type. So even reavers that doesn't use gear have a designated armor type. When blocking an attack, the user charges the resonance of energies. With solid successful, the echo of this defense with the same total defensive result can be used to replace the defense roll of an ally if the result was lower. Within the same battle round. Not a buff. Also not a buff. With an ally present within 15 steps, and soul, then the allies. Yeah. It's only usable if user soul is higher than the allies. Slash literally to the power of friendship. But you can also have it for different. It's like, no, I ain't losing, like the Vegeta style, or like selfish, like, oh no, they took damage, that means we might be dying. Like, you can turn this into a selfish thing. You can definitely go different ways with this. Resolve barrier stance, transforms defense into soul. The user does not guard for their own survival. Ignores the mouse, the blade becomes a wall meant to protect. So if you're by yourself, nah. Or a fast sharp kick. There we go. There we go. For now, stream is going down. We have been streaming for a while. Let's see. We've been streaming for about 3 hours, 20 minutes. I am going to go get myself some food, get myself some stretchies, and then I will start back up and we will see what we do. We might, like, we're not, probably not continuing this. Playing a game of some kind, satisfactory Minecraft. I've been playing some Where Winds Meet for a little bit. Might stream that. We'll see. So I will see you guys at, like, in about an hour at 1800 CET. Bye.